everyone, welcome and welcome back. My name is Chris.
And I'm Jose.
And we want to welcome you to I'm Married to Film Snob, where we review films of today and yesteryear.
This video is made in collaboration with Inspicio Arts Magazine.
In this video, we'll be reviewing the one-man show Inside, starring Willem Dafoe and directed by Vasilis Katsoupis in his directorial debut. Be sure to watch until the end to hear our ratings. And if you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comments down below.
Here we go, let's do it.
Willem Dafoe plays Nemo, a high-end art thief trapped in a New York penthouse when his heist doesn't go as planned. Locked inside with nothing but priceless works of art, he must use all his cunning and invention to survive.
Yeah, he's tasked with trying to steal 3 Egon Schiele works of art. Most valuable is a self-portrait that he's trying to find. But at first he can't find it, that slows him down. And of course then everything goes wrong. He gets trapped inside this bunker of an apartment. And
after putting in the wrong code.
Yeah, and then everything goes wrong and he's trapped inside. So that's the premise.
Yeah. So what was your overall impression of the film?
You know, I really wanted to like this movie. I like the concept. I like the premise. I usually love these one-man show movies. But unfortunately, in this case, the plot holes kept it from becoming the great movie it could have been. I think being his directorial debut.
I was just going to say, what did you think of Vasilis as a director?
I think he has the skills, but it all falls down to the script again, that there's too many loose plot holes that don't...
there's too many loose ends.
Yeah, that don't make this all fit together, aside from obviously the great Willem Dafoe performance, who's great in everything.
He carried the film, but it might not have been enough. All right, so for the first plot hole.
The whole premise is he's stuck in this place, but he sets off the alarm of this high-end, ultra state-of-the-art apartment.
Right.
But the police never show up. If the alarm is set off, shouldn't the police eventually show up at some point to say what tripped the alarm or whatever? Or even the security downstairs of this building. Even if the suite is a soundproof suite, whatever, they should have been notified. Someone should have been notified. If not, what's the alarm system worth?
So the main bulk of the film is Willem Dafoe trying to stay alive in this penthouse apartment that's state-of-the-art. And he has such limited resources. And that leads us to plot hole number 2.
Why would this owner just shut off the water to his apartment?
Yeah, it's such a strange detail to the film.
Because it adds to the whole thing of him trying to survive in this, modern landscape instead of, out in the wilderness. And he has no water. He has very little food. How is he going to get by? But it really doesn't make sense that this guy would shut off the water to his apartment.
Right.
But then it ties into another plot hole. He has a terrarium with a sprinkler system.
Yeah, that goes off once a day.
At a certain time, and he has to time it to get his water for the day. The water's shut off. How is this sprinkler system getting water to regenerate daily?
Right. Is it a separate plumbing system? It doesn't make any sense.
So these things kind of add up, and as you're watching, you are enjoying Willem Dafoe's performance, but then you're kind of taken aback, like, oh my god, well that.
By all of the details that just don't
add
click.
up. Yeah. So another plot hole is the owner has this big aquarium with these exotic fish inside, and presumably we see that Nemo's in there for weeks. Who's feeding these fish? Does he have food himself? Is he feeding it? Are they on an automatic feeder? Because then he has to resort to
eventually
turning them into sashimi and eating them.
All right, so next plot hole is when Nemo intentionally activates the fire alarm, and which then in turn activates the sprinkler system. And there's this crazy amount of water in the penthouse now, but yet the fire department doesn't come.
Yet again, you have these warning security systems, but they don't really, I guess, link to anybody.
Yeah,
They're
no one
just
responds.
for show, which makes no sense that this ultra wealthy collector would have these things that are just for show that don't really connect to any sort of emergency service.
Right.
So the fire department doesn't come, the house floods, and then where does the water go?
Yeah, we never see.
I mean, presumably, again, weeks pass and the water just kind of gets drained somehow. And last plot hole is, the movie seems to operate in modern day. And we can believe that maybe the owner in some way, that's one of his apartments that he's barely there. He shut off the water. Okay, fine. He shut off the landline because he can't call out either. Okay, fine. But why is Willem Dafoe, he doesn't have a cell phone on him. He communicates with his team, apparently, through walkie-talkie. Everyone has a cell phone. So he can't even call out because somehow he doesn't have a cell phone on him. So
Yeah,
it
would make no sense.
It adds all these things to make it like to stay in there, and it should have worked around it script wise to make it more believable. That maybe he doesn't have cell phone reception in there, or the charger, he was about to run out of battery and he doesn't have the right charger to match or something.
Yeah.
It could have been worked around, but again, it's kind of silly.
So now let's go into some subplots that we found a little bit unsatisfactory. Not necessarily plot holes, but subplots that we just weren't satisfied with.
And there's a whole angle where he has access to the security system of the building through the TV of the house. And he starts to kind of build a fascination or whatever with a maid, a cleaning lady, and
That he calls Jasmine.
that he decides to call Jasmine, and then the front desk kind of clerk that kind of runs the building. But these things never come to fruition. They show up in his dream, and he has a fantasy, but
Nothing ever happens.
Nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
He bangs the door. The woman can't hear him. It's a soundproof suite or whatever.
Not once, but twice.
And so that kind of is thrown in there to kind of, I guess, maybe give the audience false hope that there's a way of him getting up, but then it kind of brushes it off and it gets done with. And then the other subplot is he discovers a secret room of the collector behind a closet that has the Sheila work he was looking for and other weird conceptual art. He has his book as well. And the book is kind of a esoteric book about heaven and hell and that kind of relationship. And
how both have to exist.
Yeah, and coexist. And it ties into the bigger theme of the movie, but we never get explanation of what the book is and how it survives through the sprinkler system and all this stuff. So the movie throws in these little things to give some meat to keep you interested as time goes by, but then it doesn't give any satisfying answers to them.
It does not. Maybe philosophically or conceptually, it could have guided the audience a little bit more.
Well, and it's hard also for him, script-wise, if he's there by himself, how is he going to talk to explain or interact with someone to explain the meaning of the book?
Right. Enough about the negatives. Now let's go into the positives of the film. So
yeah, now that we got the plot holes out of the way, let's talk about what we did enjoy about the movie.
What we did like was Willem Dafoe's performance. We love that he truly committed to this role in every aspect of it when it came to adding depth to the character.
Well, and the physicality as well of, he gets really hot, he gets really cold, he hurts his leg, how all that starts adding up to his emotional state of mind and his starting to maybe go a little bit insane. He doesn't rush it, and I think that's where the movie, performance-wise, works best. Usually I love these kind of encapsulated one actor or two actor movies. I mean, two that come to mind are Robert Altman's Secret Honor with Philip Baker Hall playing Nixon, or Sleuth with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier, where it's just literally two actors in a mansion and that's it. But the scripts keep you engaged, and the acting. And this one, it has the acting, but the script fails to live up to delivering such a great performance. So it kind of falls in that. And I think it could have been a great movie if they would have fixed all these little plot holes. And the few monologues he has, Eric kind of, heard off screen, where he talks about what's important to him. And that ties into the bigger theme of the movie, which is what I like the most. Now let's get into the main positive of the film. I think the movie is really good at creating a scenario where Willem Dafoe's character, Nemo, he's kind of a frustrated artist. He's now in his later life forced to steal art, not create art. Yeah. And you get from his little monologue that that he says, basically art is the only thing that matters. Everything else is transitory. Everything else can go away, but art is forever. And you get this idea he's kind of a frustrated artist that never made it. So, but being enclosed in this place forces him to become an artist again. And he has his notebook. That's the one. He doesn't have a cell phone, but he has his notebook that he carries with him that he keeps on pouring out. And progressively, as he gets more isolated and more time goes by and he starts to get a little nutty, the more art pours out of him. And I think the movie was smart about that initially he starts actually copying some of the artwork on the wall, I think by Francesco Clemente, this kind of lying nude woman portrait, and he starts copying that, but then he gets progressively more creative on his own and starts making all forms of art. And in a way, the final masterpiece is that he transforms the apartment itself into this kind of huge, I don't know, performance piece.
Right.
There's little assemblage art where, he creates this tower of furniture to try to reach out.
Yeah.
He does painting directly on the wall, and with full of motifs and symbols and stuff. So he starts to let loose. And so that inner artist that was never allowed to break free or break through is finally because of his situation between hunger and insanity,
Almost forced to
make art. And I thought that was the best part of the movie.
Agreed. Yeah, you can really tell that Nemo is a frustrated artist, because when we go to his dream, you see that he is the successful artist in his dream, and the collector is there, but they have this dry exchange. So there's that tension.
Yeah, he's trying to introduce him to like high society of art.
Yeah. So
but he knows he doesn't belong even in his dream.
Exactly. So the allegory of the dove or the pigeon was what we thought a nice touch to the film, in that it represents him. The pigeon becomes immobilized, and so does he. And so throughout the film, you're following along with the pigeon as well as Willem Dafoe.
He watches the dove die outside of the window, right outside.
Right. And it makes you wonder, does he also die or does he escape?
Yeah. Although he might not mirror the fate of the pigeon, because the pigeon does eventually die, even though he's keeping the same kind of trajectory. They're both trying to heal and get out of this enclosure
Situation.
they're in. And it leaves it then ties into, does Nemo himself get out through the skylight? That leaves it open. And I don't mind that part. I like that it leaves it open. It leaves it up to the viewer. I think it doesn't matter whether he escapes or there's an actual escape. We don't know there's any inclination that there's actually... He's just going for it because that's the only thing he can figure out to try to get out.
Right.
It might not lead to anywhere.
Right. I think it represents hope in a way.
Exactly.
A blind faith, right?
But it doesn't matter if he gets out or not. The main thing is he has become an artist again. And he has created... And he's now no longer a thief. He's become an artist through this forced scenario.
Yes.
I think Katsoupas shows some skill, but I think the script holds him back from this directorial debut becoming a success. I think the whole movie is held together by Dafoe.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're there just to watch Dafoe do his thing.
For sure. And now for ratings of the film. What would you give it?
I mean, for everything we mentioned in the past... I think primarily the plot holes hold it back so much that I think I'd have to give it a 3 out of 10. And that 3 is all Dafoe. It needed to clean up the script to still... The concept of the movie is still good.
It is. It was a really interesting concept.
Trapped in this modern jail.
Yeah.
In New York, in this fancy... it's a not conventional jail. And how he's forced to... Cope through becoming an artist all over again.
Right.
But the plot holes for me kind of kept disengaging me from the story. If not, it didn't disengage me from Dafoe's performance, but from the story the movie was trying to build. Yeah. So how about yourself?
Unfortunately, I'd have to give it a below average score as well. I'd give it a 4 out of 10. Because Willem Dafoe is so talented. The story itself did fall short for me as well, and it's frustrating because it's such a captivating premise.
Yeah, mind you, you're never bored.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, it's just him, but you're never bored or like disengaged. It's just the things that are building up. The only way this works is if it's all just a dream. He hit his head as he was climbing the tower he built to the roof, and then it's all kind of...
The fact that it was just so many loose ends, I don't know, I was like, you know what? Come to think of this film, it didn't work for me. So, thanks for watching. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more Film Snob reviews.